Tecnifibre TFight 305S. Let's make an ultimate review between, I think, the frames that suit the similar philosophy of tennis, and let's add a little spice here and discuss Tennis Warehouse ratings. Apparently this racket is a godsend that you have to buy. Nothing against Tennis Warehouse, in fact maybe I will agree with the ratings. If I suddenly disappear, you know it's a Tennis Warehouse fault. Assassino! Let's discuss my customization history and along this video you will see the mods I did to the racket, and I think the racket responds quite differently to different setups. To summarize, I think that if you add mass here and here, it is the strongest point of the racket still feels very fast, but the power increases like the most. And I decided to go at the top because I think the design is focused mainly at 3 and 9, so adding some mass to the top makes the sweet spot a bit more consistent maybe. With the 3 and 9 the racket became too explosive and too fast with not enough plow through, so I decreased the control. But you will see that the ball will fly like crazy with just some mass at 3 and 9, and this is something that I will keep in mind because maybe I will just adjust with tension, but still I lack a bit of this plow through with 3 and 9, so yeah, I just needed some combination of everything. Another thing that is worth mentioning is that mass at the neck, I think, increase the comfort. Yeah, let's go now to the Tennis Warehouse ratings. Next to the TFight 305S, I added Blade 1820, Head Speed Pro and Babolat Pure Aero 98. I think that these four rackets compete for similar fan base, more control, but still trying to offer you some additional help, user friendliness. Let's start with ground strokes. I can tell you it may mean very different things to different play styles. That's why tennis identities are very important. For example, for a spin-oriented player, for him usually ground strokes will mean a lot of spin potential, a lot of power and forgiveness, right? And for a player that prefers to hit flat, maybe he will only look at the blade and prestige rack. But for me, ground strokes usually is having answers to every given ball. So in my case, as a grinder, it means I don't want to make any mistakes. I should be able to return every ball from every position, no matter if it's a defensive or attacking situation. And to unlock this grinder's mindset, usually for me it means I need a racket that is stable and fast at the same time. The racket should be consistent in response, should be forgiving but not too powerful, and this mix is very difficult to achieve. Yeah, let's start with a Speed Pro because it got a highest rating from Tennis Warehouse, and I think it makes sense because 100 square inches head size, 1820 string pattern, very forgiving but still giving you some power, some control. The spin window is big, so yeah, spin potential is also quite big, but the 1820 string pattern is kind of limiting this spin potential, and in my experience Speed Pro was giving me more power than spin. And with the TFight 305S I kinda decreased the power level, got more spin potential, so it made the racket a bit more forgiving to different types of acceleration. I could hit more up, I can hit more through because the frame was lower powered than the Speed Pro. With Speed Pro I kinda have to accelerate through all the time or the ball will fly up and out. So here it makes sense that for me as a grinder, TFight 305S deserved a bigger rating. Blade 1820 has the lowest rating here, and I agree because, well, it is the most control-oriented racket, meaning it is the least forgiving one, the least user-friendly. So it might be a bit problematic to play with a blade on defensive situations. Blade is a great tool for attackers that need confidence to swing out every time, but what if you are a bit late? What if you face a better attacker? Or maybe you need a racket that will still offer you a bit more defensive abilities. Redirect the pace of the ball, counterpunchers, right? And I think TFight 305S is just faster than the blade, while still giving you enough stability to block the ball and still keep the ball inside the court. Let's go to the volleys. The racket should be consistent in response, maybe more headlight, so yeah, the racket feels fast to maneuver. Speed Pro got highest rating here, and I think maybe I agree, because of course it is headlight, it is stable, but 100 square inches head size can be sometimes a bit too hot, too responsive. So maybe I would give an edge to the Blade 1820, but yeah, it will depend on the situation, I would say. So yeah, Blade and Speed Pro, great rackets for volleys. Maybe the more headlight setup would be a deciding factor, meaning Speed Pro would win here, probably. But TFight 305S got the same rating, and I think I would agree. It is similarly contour-oriented and stable to the Blade 1820. It is faster than the Blade, closer to the Speed Pro, and actually faster than the Speed Pro. So the only knock is compared to the Speed Pro is the smaller head size, but this smaller head size, yeah, of course, limits the forgiveness, but adds control and touch. For someone like me who played many years with a 95 head size, it is still a forgiving racket to me, right? So I don't really need 100 square inches head size. 98 is already fine. Volleys, I would actually maybe make it slightly better than the Speed Pro. Yeah, it's close. So let's now go to the serves. Speed Pro had the highest rating so far, but now the TFight 305S is a winner here, and I agree. I think it comes now here to the string pattern. 18-19 string pattern is just better, and slightly smaller head size makes the frame feel a bit faster and yeah, easier to accelerate. So a bit more control of what you're doing with the ball. Speed Pro, it helps a lot. It is a great racket to serve with because it is headlight and has a high swing wave, so you still feel the mass going through the ball. But I think that 18-20 string pattern just limits the potential that the TFight 305S is unlocking. Pure Aero 98, I think it deserves a bit higher rating when it comes to the serves. Maybe it just depends on what type of serves you want to play. Is it more a spin-oriented serve or flat serve? Pure Aero 98, of course, is positioned more towards those spin-oriented players. Speed Pro maybe a bit more towards those flatter strokes. TFight 305S is just a combination of many philosophies, 18-19 string pattern, but still a thicker beam. So yeah, this mix just gives you confidence to swing out. You get rewarded with this acceleration, with more control, more spins. Blade 1820, of course, is the worst, the most head-heavy frame, 1820 string pattern, so it's not the easiest to serve with. Returns, every racket here is great. In stock form, I would definitely go towards Speed Pro still. Here we can see that Pure Aero 98 was the favorite one, and yeah, maybe still depends on the playstyle. With Pure Aero 98, it is a bit easier to kick up the ball and neutralize the point. With Speed Pro, it is a bit easier to catch the ball on the rise and hit through the ball, be more aggressive. TFight 305S is kinda mix between Speed Pro and Pure Aero 98. I think it is a bit more universal, meaning you can choose different toolbox depending on what return you want to perform. So it makes sense that it is actually the best of those four rackets, but it may depend on your philosophy, how you want to return. If it's more about blocking maybe Blade will be the best. If it's more about looking for forgiveness, but still you want to be aggressive, maybe Speed Pro. If you are looking for neutralizing shots, probably Pure Aero 98. And TFight 305S is just a safe pick. You can choose each returning style and it should deliver. The only thing I would want to add here is that in stock form, TFight 305S has the lowest power potential. Sometimes it is a bit harder to hit deep, but I customized my TFight 305S and it's already like heavier than the Speed Pro. Let's go to the power. So like I already said, TFight 305S in stock form, I would say has very similar power potential to the Blade 1820. So here it is a bit more overhyped, I would say. And I agree that Speed Pro has the biggest power potential of those four. Pure Aero 98 will hit a bit deeper, mainly because the launch angle is higher, but the power potential goes to the Speed Pro. TFight 305S, I would say it is slightly above the Blade 1820. TFight 305S, slightly smaller swing wave, but more forgiving, more responsive string pattern. Very close, very close. Control, all right. Makes sense that the Blade was the best according to Tennis Warehouse ratings. And I will add here that there are many ways to achieve control, right? Sometimes control through spin. And because TFight 305S has a better spin potential compared to the Blade 1820, it makes sense that it actually has a bit better control. So I would actually rate control a bit above the Blade. Also, lower swing wave adds a bit more sense of what you're doing with the racket. Maybe redirecting the pace. Here you can lose a bit control, so you kind of have to force some movements, where with the Blade 1820 you can let the racket guide through the ball and let it go, let it fly, right? With the TFight 305S you kind of have to be on the ball all the time. TFight 305S is a winner here. And Speed Pro, again, the power to spin combination is just a bit off. And whenever I try to hit a more spinny shot, the power potential kicks in and I hit out. And with Pure Aero 98, it is more a spin-oriented racket. Whenever I try to hit more flat, sometimes I will lose the ball and yeah, the higher launch angle will kick in and the ball might fly on you. Yeah, TFight 305S is my happy medium spot between Blade and Pure Aero 98. Maneuverability. According to Tennis Warehouse rating, Speed Pro was the fastest racket compared to the Blade and Pure Aero 98. I think I disagree. Pure Aero 98 is faster in stock form than the Speed Pro, but it is faster than the Blade 1820. TFight 305S is the fastest of the rackets that are similar in playstyle. Now let's go to the stability. According to Tennis Warehouse, it was most stable compared to the Blade and Pure Aero 98. Maybe, probably a bit more stable than the Pure Aero 98, purely based on the specs. Is the TFight 305S more stable than the Blade? It is close, but I would say not. Slightly smaller swing wave just makes the frame slightly less stable. And Tecnifibre team even mentioned that with the next gen specs, meaning you get a lighter racket, you have to accelerate more to compensate for those specs. I wouldn't say TFight 305S is unstable, but definitely less stable than the Speed Pro that has like around 330 swing wave, right? And has a slightly thicker beam. But in general, TFight 305S is a racket that I was kinda hoping to get while playtesting the Speed Pro. It is definitely not an unstable racket, but less stable than Speed Pro. Let's go to the comfort. So yeah, according to Tennis Warehouse, Speed Pro is the most comfortable of those 4 rackets, and I agree. I think that the bigger head size, even if it's an 18-20 string pattern, just offers you more comfort. And still the racket is quite soft when it comes to the stiffness rating. I think it is quite hard to rate the comfort level of the TFight 305S because, well, it is foam filled, so plus points to the comfort, but slightly thicker design, and the Tecnifibre team mentioned that they stiffen up the frame slightly, the design, to offset the lower specs. They had to make the trade much easier to use specs, but they had to provide power and stability from something. And I think they traded comfort slightly, but it was there, I think. I customized my frame, so yeah, more mass, more comfort, right? So for me it is not a problem coming from the TFight ISO, but yeah, the comfort is slightly smaller. Maybe it is similar around the blade, around Pure Aero 98. It feels very close to the Radical Pro when it comes to the feel of the ball on the string bed, which I didn't rate the best either. Now, touch and feel. Like I said already, the comfort, the feel of the ball touching the string bed is very close to the Radical Pro. So the touch and feel is not the best. At the same time, I also disagree with the rating for the Speed Pro. The explosiveness of the string bed from the Speed Pro is just too much, and it's taking away some of the touch and feel. Because the TFight 305S is a bit more anemic in response, it gives you a bit more connection to the ball. And yeah, compared now to the Pure Aero 98, here it is listed as the lowest in touch and feel. Maybe because it is a spin-oriented racket, so yeah, sometimes the launch can be a bit inconsistent. I wouldn't rate it at that low number, but it is not a standout feature of the Pure Aero 98. Between those 3 rackets, Blade, Pure Aero and the Speed Pro, the touch and feel, definitely I would give it to the Blade. Compared to the TFight 305S, despite a slightly stiffer feel, I would still rate it a bit higher than the Blade, mainly because 18-19 string pattern, it just grabs the ball a bit better, so I can hit slice, I can hit topspin, I can hit flat. So if I have a sense of a bigger toolbox to work with, it probably means that the frame offers you better touch. I am probably the most confident with the TFight 305S. Topspin. Now my favorite feature of this racket is probably topspin, if we keep in mind that it is a control-oriented racket. If we look at the Tennis Warehouse ratings, it is bigger than the Blade 1820, of course, string bed. Bigger than the Speed Pro, yes, string bed. And now, Pure Aero 98, okay, I have to take it back. It has a slightly smaller spin potential than the Pure Aero 98. Or maybe. It will depend on your swing style. Because Pure Aero 98 has a wider string spacing of the mains and less strings, 16 mains versus here 18. The only way TFight can produce a bigger topspin is through acceleration. And here I think it makes sense that the Tennis Warehouse team rated it a bit higher than the Pure Aero 98. This combination of control power leaves you bigger space to accelerate without hitting out. So you get more confidence to hit out, and meaning faster strokes, and faster strokes produce better spin. When we look at that angle on the frames, I will actually agree that TFight 305S has the best spin potential. Whew. Now slices. Let's look at the Tennis Warehouse ratings. Yeah, I disagree. Blade should be the winner here with 18-20 and still control-oriented racket, then TFight 305S, then Speed Pro, than Pure Aero 98. The only reason why I could see better slices with the TFight 305S is this bite of the string bed. The 18-19 string pattern just bites the ball a bit better, so it is a bit easier to get faster RPMs. Blade offers you lower launch angle, so yeah. Slices should be the best with the blade. However, the extra forgiveness of the TFight 305S just makes it a bit, I don't know, easier to perform, right? So yeah, even if I prefer the slices on the Blade 1820, the difference between those two is just too small to make me feel worried. Like I can still hit a great slice with the TFight 305S, and on top of that I am getting more forgiveness, easier RPMs, so yeah, easy trades. So yeah, I guess that's it for this review. To summarize, it is giving you similar levels of control compared to the Blade, but with a more forgiving nature. And because the frame is low powered, you can accelerate more and get actually better spin potential than the Pure Aero 98. Feels a bit more classic in feel than the Pure Aero 98. It feels a bit thinner than the Speed Pro. The only thing that you should ask yourself is, do you want to customize this racket? Because in stock form, I would say the frame is a bit too anemic. Okay, that's it for the review. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you can, helps a lot, and see you soon. Bye bye.